Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into what I believe is one of the most critical and crucial times of the year for realtors, and that's the fourth quarter. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably noticed, and if you look at trends over the past forever, honestly, when you look into the fourth quarter, you'll see that a lot of agents tend to slow down when the holiday season approaches. But here's the thing, that's exactly why this time of the year could be your secret weapon and help you launch into next year, 2025, with extreme power and leverage. While other agents are coasting, you have the opportunity to stand out and gain an edge and set yourself up for success as we head into 2025. And in today's episode, we're going to focus on Q4 specific things, how to make strategic adjustments, how to maintain focus, how to build momentum over the next few weeks so that you can finish 2024 strong and head right into January, hitting the ground running, making a statement with extreme confidence. So let's get into it. The first thing that I think is the most important thing that we could be doing in the fourth quarter is getting back to the basics. And, consistency is key when we talk about the basics of real estate. I get it. By the time Q4 rolls around, it's easy to feel a little burned out. Maybe you haven't had the best year. Maybe it's been a busy year. It hasn't gone as planned, or maybe the exact opposite. Maybe this year has been crazy. It's been more than what you expected. But here's the thing, basics still matter. In fact, they matter even more now because a lot of agents have already checked out for the holidays. It's so interesting to see what happens once November and December roll around. I think we're planning this episode to launch right in the beginning of November. If you look at what happens over the next few weeks, you'll see the typical checkout that agents do. Daily prospecting, regular follow-ups, staying connected to your sphere, the people that know you, like you, and trust you. These aren't groundbreaking ideas. This is just part of what we do in the day-to-day, but they're the foundations of success, especially in a market where fewer agents are actively working in that fourth quarter mindset. So ask yourself, are you still making the calls? Are you still following up with your clients, with leads? Or have you started to let those things slip? Q4 is not the time to slow down on the fundamentals, on the basics. It's honestly the time to double down. If you recommit to consistent prospecting, even for just an hour or two each day, we're not asking for you to move heaven and earth to make things happen. I promise you'll set more appointments. You'll keep your pipeline full. You'll stay top of mind with your clients right when other agents are stepping back and they're losing the battle with the fourth quarter and into the first quarter of next year. So this is your chance to differentiate yourself and show your commitment. One of the things we talk about a lot on our team is how the fourth quarter impacts the first quarter. All the things you're doing now are going to directly impact the success you have in the first quarter next year. If you choose to take a back seat, well, you're taking a back seat until March. And I just don't want that to happen for you. The second thing that I would love to talk about is adjusting your strategy around the holiday season. The adjustments as the market changes into the fourth quarter, there's no denying that it shifts a little bit. We're preparing for the holidays. Some sellers might just be waiting for the new year to list. We're right in the middle of a presidential election. Buyers might be hesitant because they don't want to move when it's snowing outside. Whatever the excuse is that we hear, people tend to think that they just want a fresh start in January. So how do we adjust for that? What I would be doing is using this time to reach out to those potential buyers and sellers who might be thinking about making a move next year, and let them know the benefits of what it could look like to list during the holiday season. In our area, if we're listing homes during the holiday season and we have buyers that walk through the home, we know that they're serious buyers because they're getting out and they're looking at properties when other people aren't. There could be less competition, serious buyers who are still active, and there could be a potential for a faster sale. A lot of agents overlook this opportunity, but you can set yourself apart by educating your clients about the market dynamics of Q4. Research your marketplace and what the typical trends are for the fourth quarter. I would also be taking a hard look at your marketing. If you've been running the same type of ads or posting the same content on social media all year long, it might be time to switch things up a bit. Create some holiday themed content that feels timely and relevant. Share market insights that help your clients understand why now might still be a great time to make a move. People appreciate agents who are in tune with what's happening right now, and you can position yourself as that agent. Finally, I would take time to analyze your performance from this year so far. What's been working for you? What hasn't been working for you? We can use this period of the fourth quarter to tweak our strategy. Maybe that means adjusting the time we spend, changing our focus, looking at different things that haven't worked for us this year. The goal here is to finish the year strong with a strategy that is aligned with the market we're in right now. If we keep doing the things over and over again that aren't working and are not producing results, we're just going to get the same non-results. So we either double down on the things that are working or we change to a new thing and see if that can start working for us. Continuing to do things that just don't work just does not make sense. The third thing is, how do we get tactical in the fourth quarter? I believe we should be creating what I call a micro business plan for the fourth quarter. Let's get tactical and talk about how we create that micro business plan that's specifically designed for the fourth quarter. It's actually from a book called The 12-Week Year, written by Brian Moran. If you haven't read it, fantastic read. In the book, Moran explains that the reason so many people fall short in their goals is because they plan for an entire year thinking they have plenty of time to act on those goals. But if we instead think about our goals in short, instead of a full year, we treated it as 4 years. We have 4 12-week segments inside the year, which is the premise of the 12-week year. And we approached it as our year is only 12 weeks long. It can help us finish the fourth quarter very strong and even enter the first quarter of next year with momentum. The idea is very simple. We focus on shorter, more intense periods of time to create a sense of urgency that drives you to take action. You're not thinking, oh, I'll do that next month, or I'll focus on that next quarter, or I have the rest of the year to work on that. You're thinking, I only have 12 weeks to make this happen. It's a whole different mindset of thinking. Instead of, I'll do this later, it's I only have between here and now to make it happen. Here's how you can apply the principles of the 12-week year to your Q4 micro business plan. The first step is I would set 1, no more than 2 big goals for the next 10 to 12 weeks. Your 12-week year, in the book, Moran emphasizes that focus is everything. So instead of trying to tackle a dozen different things, pick the 1 or 2 major goals that has to happen in the next 12 weeks. Maybe that's secure a certain number of appointments, a certain number of listings, generate a certain number of leads, call a certain number of people. Whatever it is, you have to be clear and specific on exactly what that goal is. The key is to make sure that these goals are big enough to push you, but focused enough to be achievable within the 12 weeks. For example, if my goal was to get 8 new listings, it's better to say I want 8 than just say I want to get more listings, because it's clear, it's measurable, and you know when you've hit it. If there's ambiguity behind it, we won't know if we actually hit the goal. When we narrow our focus, you're more likely to see results. The second step into the 12-week year is break it down into a weekly action plan. The strategy is to create weekly actionable plans, and each week becomes its own micro sprint where you set specific activities and deliverables to bring you closer to your big goal. You want to take your goal and break it down into what has to happen to meet that goal. So if our goal was to get 8 new listings or whatever it is by the end of the 12-week sprint, maybe our weekly action plan is making a certain number of prospecting calls to sellers every single week. Maybe it's hosting a certain number of open houses and door knocking a certain number of homes around that house. Maybe it's sending a certain number of follow-up emails or dropping off CMAs by a certain number to sellers that we've been trying to connect with this past year. Those weekly actions and the plans are our roadmap. Because the time frame is short, it's easier to stay motivated and avoid procrastination. You're always working with a deadline, which keeps the pressure on to perform. The third thing is measuring your progress. It's keeping a scoreboard. It's one of the things Moran emphasizes in the 12-week year is the importance of measurement. What gets measured gets improved. That's a quote from Moran. What gets measured gets improved. We want to keep track of our progress on those weekly actionable items so that we know if we're on track or if we're off track and if we need to adjust. It has to be simple. Create a simple scorecard. This could be a spreadsheet. It could be on a whiteboard in your office. It could just be a journal that you pick up at the bookstore where you track your weekly activities. For example, note how many calls you've made, how many appointments you've set, how many appointments you've been on, how many new leads you've generated. This scorecard isn't about just celebrating wins. It's about recognizing when you need to course correct to stay on track with your 12-week goal. The fourth thing that is discussed in the book is staying accountable. So finding an accountability partner, another key element of the 12-week year is the power of accountability. We all know how easy it is for us to make excuses when we're working alone. I'm at fault of it, and I can only imagine that you can relate to that statement. That's why finding an accountability partner can make a huge difference. If you're on a team, grab another team agent on your team and just let them know what you're chasing after and have them keep you accountable. It could be another agent in your office if you're within a brokerage. It could be your mentor. It could be your team leader. It could be your broker. It could be your spouse. It could be your best friend. It doesn't matter who it is. Find someone to help keep you accountable and schedule a weekly check-in where you review your 12-week goal, your weekly sprint with that person, and you go through the progress and if you're on track to meeting your commitments. It's not about being critical. It's not about criticism. It's about making sure you're staying focused and taking action. Another step, the last step that's all involved with this 12-week plan, the 12-week year, the book is celebrating wins and reflect on lessons learned. So at the end of each week, take a moment to celebrate all the wins that's happened, whether they're big or they're small. Maybe you didn't land the new listing, but you made your calls and you set the appointment and you connected with 3 new potential clients. Those are all still wins. Or maybe you finally got a referral from a past client because you were doing your follow-up calls or your nurture calls. Those wins matter and they keep you motivated. I would also argue that you shouldn't forget to reflect on what didn't go as planned. The 12-week year, the book encourages you to see missed targets as opportunities to adjust our strategy. So ask yourself, what could you have done differently that week, and what can you implement differently this coming week to improve your results? It's not about beating yourself up. It's about learning and growing so you can keep moving forward. The reason I love the 12-week year approach for Q4 is that it naturally creates a sense of urgency when everything around us seems to be winding down. Typically in the holiday season, it's kind of counterintuitive because we feel busy, but for most people as a business, It's winding down and time feels more compressed. So by adopting a 12-week year mindset, you avoid the trap of thinking, I'll just focus on this in the new year. Instead, you treat every week as an opportunity to make progress. The work you put in now, the calls, the follow up, the texts, the events, I promise you they'll pay off. They always do when the market heats back up in the new year in 2025. And the best part is, while other agents are slowing down or taking their foot off the gas, you'll be building momentum, and that'll carry you through the first quarter of 2025. And everybody around you who stopped in 2024 is going to be looking at you and jealous of all the momentum you have in the new year. The fourth strategy is having a good mindset. Mindset matters. Staying engaged with a growth mindset in the fourth quarter is extremely important. And before we wrap the podcast up, I want to dive into this because it's just important as your strategy and as your business plan, and that's your mindset. We all know that Q4 can be challenging. The market slows, the days get shorter, the sun starts setting earlier, the sun doesn't come up as early. It gets dark here for us at like 6 o'clock once time changes. And the holidays can bring plenty of distractions. But this is where your mindset can make all the difference between just coasting through the end of the year or finishing it strong and setting the stage right for a great 2025. One of the most powerful perspectives that you can adopt in these final weeks of 2024 is a growth mindset. A growth mindset is believing that your abilities, your intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to grow rather than obstacles that hold you back. So what does a growth mindset look like for a real estate agent for the rest of the year? They embrace the slow season as a chance to improve. It's easy to look at the slower pace of the market and maybe just think, I'll take it easy too. But with a growth mindset, you see this time differently. You see it as an opportunity to improve, to sharpen your skills, to learn new strategies, to work on your processes, to refine your systems. Think about it like this. While other agents might be relaxing, you could be in the driver's seat getting better every single day. But it's your decision, it's your actions that allow you to make that progress. Maybe you take this time to dive deeper into understanding market trends, to be a knowledge broker in your area, to learn new marketing techniques. Or maybe you use it to practice your listing presentation until it's absolutely flawless. The point is, the time you invest in a self-improvement now will pay off when the market heats up again in the spring. In Q4, you might face challenges. We see setbacks as learning opportunities, not failures when we have a growth mindset. Maybe a deal falls through, or a client decides to no longer make a move or put their search on hold until after the holidays. It can be frustrating, right? We've all been in that frustrating mode before. But here's the thing about a growth mindset. It helps you reframe those setbacks as learning opportunities. Instead of thinking, oh, well, there goes another lost deal, you can ask yourself, what could I learn from this? What could I have done differently? Is there knowledge that my client didn't have that might have helped them through the process? Maybe you'll find that a different approach to communication could have made all the difference, or that you just need to adjust your strategy for working with clients who are hesitant due to seasonal timing. Every challenge holds a lesson if you're willing to look for it. And this mindset isn't just about staying positive, it's about constantly improving. It's about understanding that every experience, even the tough ones, is a chance to get better. Another core principle of a growth mindset is focusing on what you can control rather than dwelling on what you can't. Let's be real. There's plenty of things that you can't control. You can't control the weather. You can't control holiday plans. You can't control whether buyers or sellers decide to put their decisions on hold. But you can control what you do, your actions and your attitude. You can control your own narrative. You can control how many prospecting calls you make every week. You can control how often you follow up. You can control how you show up on social media and how you engage with your community. When you focus on what's within your control, you take ownership of your success regardless of what the market or the season is doing. Remember, there's power in consistency. It's that first strategy on back to the basics. Even when things feel slow, the consistent actions you take, the daily calls, the daily prospecting, the daily follow-ups, the social media posts, the door knocking, the CMAs, all the different things are planting seeds that will grow when the market picks up in the spring. And it's all about trusting the process and knowing that your hard work will pay off, because it always does. It's easy to look at other agents who are crushing it and feel like you're falling behind, but a growth mindset helps you to turn that comparison into inspiration. Instead of thinking, why am I not doing as well as they are? You can think, what can I learn from their success? Do you see the drastic difference in approach of thinking? Reach out to those top performing agents. Ask them what they're doing to stay successful during the slower months, or listen to a podcast, read books, or find mentors who can inspire you to push harder. Use their stories as a way to challenge yourself rather than feeling discouraged. You might be surprised on how many people are willing to share their strategies with you and insights if you just ask. By learning from those people who've already been where you want to be, you might just gain a new perspective that can fuel your own growth. I say it all the time to my agents. You're not competing with each other. You're competing with you. And so finally, a growth mindset helps you to keep the long-term perspective. It's about understanding that Q4 isn't just about what you've accomplished in the next 12 months or over the past 12 months or even over the next 12 weeks with this micro business plan. It's about how you're setting yourself up for the year ahead. When you focus on consistent effort and continual learning, you're building resilience that will carry you through the ups and downs of this business. When the holiday distractions come up or when you feel like the market isn't moving fast enough, remember why you're putting in the work. Picture where you want to be in the first quarter of next year. Picture the momentum you'll have when the market picks back up and you're already in motion while others are just getting over the eggnog hangover, if that makes sense. Adopting a growth mindset means you're always looking for ways to improve. You're not afraid of challenges, and you believe that your hard work does make a difference. As you navigate this last quarter of the year, keep reminding yourself every call, every text, every follow-up, every piece of content, every email is building you towards something bigger. Stay committed to your growth, and I promise you'll see results in 2025. As we wrap up today's podcast, I want you to think about two important questions as we head into the stretch of this year into next year. Honestly, these are questions that I've heard from our head coach, Tom Ferry, that we coach with. These are the two questions that he's asked all of his coaching clients. What adjustments are you going to make between now and the end of the year? Think about what's been working, what hasn't been working. Are there areas where you need to be more consistent? Are there strategies that need to be refreshed or improved? Use these last few weeks of 2024 and the beginning weeks of 2025 to position yourself stronger than you are now. There's a common saying in sales, if we keep on doing the same thing, then we can always expect the same results. If your one or two goals that you've set are bigger or different or just somewhat of a slight change than what's been consistent of the previous quarter here in 2024, then for something to change, something has to change. The second question is, what is going to be your main priority of focus over the next 12 weeks? You have to pick at least one thing, whether it's lead generation, relationship building, or closing out those last few transactions. Make it your focus. It's easy to get distracted by all the things you could be doing, but success in quarter four comes from knowing what your priority is and going after it with intention. Remember, while other agents might be winding down, you have the chance to finish the year strong, build momentum, and set yourself up for an amazing 2025. The work you put in now will pay off when the market heats back up in the spring. That's it for today's episode. I hope you're feeling fired up. I'm feeling fired up and ready to make the most of the rest of this year and start next year with extreme power. Take these strategies and put them into action. And let's finish this year strong together. If you've gotten value out of today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, share it with other agents who could see and use a little extra push this time of the year. I'll catch you in the next episode. This episode of the Gritworks podcast is sponsored by the Caldwell Group at eXp Realty, a real estate team in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, Ohio. The Caldwell Group is one of the top teams in the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati markets that strives to produce results for their clients that they're working with. Their agents are top of the line when it comes to all new technology, understanding the market, and presenting results and value to clients. So if you are in the market in the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati area to either learn more about what your home might be worth in today's market, or just learning about the market in general and what it looks like to buy or sell in the market today, then hit us up in the comments below. We would love to reach out and talk with you more and share with you all the things that are happening inside Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you to the Caldwell Group for sponsoring today's episode.